Today in this shop, we are going to be looking at a 2023 F250 that's displaying a default speed limited to 50 mile per hour message. The truck for today's exciting automotive diagnostic mystery has a whopping 146 miles on it. I'm going to start diagnosis by retrieving all the codes on this vehicle, and I'm going to be using VCM Lite today to start diagnosis. In the transmission control module, we have a U1011, invalid internal control module monitoring data received from the PCM. And I'm going to be ignoring most of these codes unless they seem like there's something relevant to the problem we're having. In the powertrain control module, we have a U0074, control module communication bus B off. CAN bus B, or the PT network, is a private powertrain control network. It runs from the powertrain control module to the transmission control module to the glow plug control module, then to knock sensor 1, 2, and 3, and then to the particulate matter sensor. This is a previously detected fault and it's not currently present, so it's probably an intermittent problem, and the check engine light is on for this. In the PCM, we also have a U1013, invalid internal control module monitoring data received from the transmission control module. That is also a previously detected fault, and we also have a check engine light on for that one. In the PCM, we also have a P23B5, heater circuit nitrous oxide sensor number 3. We have a U02A1, lost communications with knock sensor C, and that would be knock sensor number 3 again. And that also was a previous fault with a check engine light or a warning message for it. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear the codes on this vehicle, and we're going to see if any of them come back or which ones come back first. And it looks like the only code that came back immediately is the audio control module lost communication with the PCM, and I don't think that's a relevant code for what we're looking at this vehicle for. At this point, I think I'm going to road test the vehicle and see if we can duplicate the concern. And I have switched over to an FDRS here to watch the PIDs while we're driving it. For PIDs, I have taken DTC count, I've taken knock sensor 1, 2, and 3, and I've also taken load and RPMs. And as you can see here, our knock sensors are not reading yet. 65,535 is just the default until the sensors get up to temperature and start reading. It looks like knock sensor 1 has started to read. I'm going to jump ahead about 5 minutes in this video to around the point where the fault occurs. And you can see here that all 3 knock sensors are now up to temperature and reading. I'm not sure why our graph seems to have locked up, but the numbers on the left still seem to be working, and we are driving down the highway at a steady state cruise. And then knock sensor 3 drops out. It goes back to its default of 65,535 parts per million. And a few seconds later, our DTC count goes to 1, so we just flagged a code in the PCM. So at this point, we go ahead and return to the shop and perform a key on engine off on the PCM. And the only code that has returned or set in the PCM is U02A1, lost communications with knock sensor C. Knock sensor number 3 is located just after the catalytic converter assembly on the inside of the frame rail near the front leaf spring mount. I'm going to go ahead and take the plastic cover off of the top of the NOx module so we can do an inspection of the connector. And this problem is not a hard fault. You can start the truck up cold and everything is fine for 5 or 10 minutes of driving, and then the fault occurs. Once you've got it to the point the fault occurs, you can shut it off, restart it. The fault will still be there for a couple of minutes, but if you let it cool off any longer than that, the problem seems to resolve itself. I'm not really seeing any obvious concerns with the electrical connectors, so I'm going to do a quick visual inspection and follow that harness down the passenger side frame rail and up into the engine compartment. I'm not seeing anything obvious on a visual inspection, so I think we're going to go ahead and get out a voltmeter and start checking the system a little bit. At pins 1 and 4 on knock sensor number 3, we do have 12 volts. And I'm going to go ahead and load test those circuits as well with a test light, and we look good that way. Next, I'm going to go ahead and check the network wires from knock sensor number 3 to the PCM. And both of those check less than 1 ohm, and neither of them show a short to ground or to power. With all of that checking good, I think at this point in our quest to figure out what the hell is going on with this brand new truck, I'm going to go ahead and install an oscilloscope on the high-speed powertrain network. And I've actually pinned the oscilloscope into the network at 2 different locations. Green and blue is at knock sensor number 3, and red and yellow is at knock sensor number 1. Our network looks good. I've been running the engine at 2500 RPM for about 5 minutes, and then it starts doing this. And at the same time, knock sensor number 3 stops reading. And then a few seconds later, we get the dreaded default message. It's fairly obvious from this we have an issue with network communications, and a few seconds later we get a whole new list of symptoms. So our network is completely flatlined, all 3 NOx sensors have stopped reading, and we have a hill descent control fault or pre-collision assist not available, and then a few seconds later, our network comes back, and NOx sensors 1 and 2 resume reading. With only 146 miles on this vehicle, I think I probably got a little bit of tunnel vision. I was expecting a misrouted harness melted on the exhaust down below or something along those lines. I wasn't looking as closely as they probably should have been for a harness with a spot already shaved through it. But after sliding a mirror between this harness and the valve cover, that green wire with the white tracer is the high side of our powertrain network. And the shiny spot on it that the camera doesn't want to focus on is bare copper where the valve cover is rubbed through it. Since there's no corrosion in this wire, I think the best repair is probably just going to be to unpin the connector and slide a piece of heat shrink over it. With the heat shrink installed and the pin back in the connector, we'll go ahead and get this all taped back up, and then we'll route this harness differently so it doesn't make contact with the valve cover. I've got the codes cleared. I'm going to go ahead and take it on a test drive and verify the repair. If you found this helpful or interesting, please click the like button down below. I got a lot more great stuff coming up, so please subscribe. And as always, have a great week.